Nothing confirmed, but as of right now, we are 13 days away from the debut of the controversial, the revolutionary WWE Network. But also on that very same night, it's been rumored that we will be getting the return of Hulk Hogan to the WWE for the first time since the 15th anniversary show in December of 2007. So that looks to be very exciting. Like I said, nothing confirmed, so if he doesn't show up, don't be disappointed, but I personally am extremely excited to hear Real American once again. So, Chris, I got to ask you, what are your feelings about Hulk Hogan finally coming back to the WWE in just a few short weeks?
I mean, I obviously grew up on Hulk Hogan like a lot of people. I will forever be a Hulk fan. He is the one pro wrestling autograph I actually have in a frame. And I'm all for him coming back to WWE. Obviously, a match is out of the question, but just a return in some kind of non-wrestling role as a host or as a commentator, as a manager, whatever it may be, I'm all for that because Hulk Hogan is still a big part of pro wrestling, and I'll never be unhappy when Hulk Hogan's involved.
Couldn't agree more. I think a match definitely is out of the question at this point. It's been rumored that he hasn't been medically cleared to compete, and I personally don't want to see him in a match either. This guy can't wrestle. If you saw his last matchup, I think if it was in TNA, it must have been at Bound for Glory, maybe at 2010, almost 4 years ago, and that was 4 years ago, and he's gone through a lot of surgery since that point in time. It's just ridiculous. I mean, this guy can't wrestle, let alone walk to the ring without struggling. So, yes, most definitely a match is out of the question. I see some people tossing around the idea of Cena versus Hogan. Not in a million years. Maybe 5-6 years ago. Maybe at that point in time. Definitely not now. But even still, like you said, Chris, bringing him in as a host like they did with The Rock at WrestleMania 27, which did tremendous business, is a great move on WWE's part. As of right now, there's been a lot of rumors going around as to what he's going to be involved in. There's been speculation that the main event of WrestleMania 1 was going to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't really want to see that happen. I don't really see what the purpose of that is. It's a main event. They should only induct people for right now and celebrities and whatnot. So I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with it, or maybe the fact that the Ultimate Warrior is going to the Hall of Fame. Maybe he's going to be the one to induct him. And of course, he's being brought back to hype up the WWE Network, debuting that same night. But as a potential storyline at WrestleMania, nothing is set in stone at this point in time. So, Chris, I got to ask you, who do you see him mixing it up with at WrestleMania? Of course, not an in-ring role, but what do you foresee his role being at WrestleMania? Who do you see him crossing paths with upon his return?
Well, Hulk Hogan and John Cena will obviously have some kind of interaction at some point, just because John Cena is in that role now. You know, he is basically the Hulk Hogan role. Steve Austin was in that role for a while. During Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels' days, they were in that role after he had already gone to WCW. So he's going to obviously interact with Cena, but I think they're going to try and capitalize on this whole Daniel Bryan phenomenon, and they're going to try and have Hulk Hogan win over any of the fans who might be a little jaded by having Daniel Bryan show respect for him. It'll be something like that, but I just see him more as being there for the sake of his name and just being the guy who they have backstage segments with every once in a while. I don't see there being a big feud or storyline revolving around much, just, him kind of saying hey to people and either getting the brush off or getting respect.
This is going to be dipping into the Raw review just a bit, but it's been teased in the last 2 weeks or so that Jack Swagger of the Real Americans tag team might be the one to turn babyface and not Antonio Cesaro, which would be a major mistake given the fact that Antonio Cesaro, as proven last night on Raw, is the way more over of the two, especially with hardcore fans and even with the casual fans. They love the Cesaro swing, so I personally think that he could get over huge as a babyface, so hopefully Cesaro is the one to turn and not Swagger. But that being said, and with the tag team on their way to splitting either before Elimination Chamber or shortly thereafterwards, because Cesaro will be involved in the Elimination Chamber matchup, I've got a question for you, Chris. Do you see a potential Hulk Hogan involvement in a Swagger versus Cesaro feud at WrestleMania? A Hulk Hogan in the corner of Jack Swagger if he was a babyface, or Hulk Hogan in the corner of Cesaro, possibly helping him get over huge, and then you have Coulter in the corner of Swagger, maybe something along those lines?
I think it would be a very interesting way to use Hulk Hogan, because Swagger and Cesaro both need that rub. I mean, they're both very, very talented, but neither of them have ever really gotten over big with the WWE audience yet. Cesaro's had some good feedback from the crowd when he does his exciting moves like the uppercut and the Cesaro swing, but he still doesn't get the pop when he comes out for his entrance. So he isn't really truly over yet. And I think Swagger, just the fact that he's been in WWE so much longer and has never been a babyface, would be very interesting to see. And I like Cesaro as a heel. I think he works well as a heel, and it's probably not a bad idea to go with Swagger, but like you said, Cesaro, when he hits those moves, the crowd just goes nuts, and it would be really, really easy to just go with him as the babyface in this situation. And if that's the case, whoever Hulk Hogan is in their corner, Hulk Hogan is obviously going to be able to help that guy just a little bit, and it's going to help everybody involved, really.
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing. Jack Swagger has been in WWE since maybe late 2008, I think it was, so nearly 6 years. And like you mentioned, he has never been a babyface up to this point. But like you said, Cesaro gets the more he's the more over of the two. He's not extremely over at the moment, like you said. But in due time, I think he will be. I think it's still too soon to break up the tag team itself. Because like the Primetime Players, I think they have massive potential to be great WWE Tag Team Champions, instead of letting the titles rot away at the waist of the New Age Outlaws, who were involved with Betty White in crappy comedy segments. And nothing against Betty White, but what we saw last night was just garbage. But nonetheless, I'm hoping that just leads into a tag team title run for the Usos, either at WrestleMania or Elimination Chamber or whatever. But back on the topic at hand, I would like to see them stay together for a little while longer. But if they do plan to split them up, like you said, it's going to be very interesting to see which one of the two will be the one to go babyface.